What if I told you this was the last Monday morning of your life? What if I told you you died this week? Would you complain about your crap job or that test you don't want to take? I doubt it. You would go much higher level thinking. Well, that's really what it takes. It takes understanding that if you're not pumped right now, if you're begrudging what you're about to do, if you're not looking forward to it, look, I respect practicality. You gotta go through school because your parents want to. You gotta pay your rent. You got student loans. I get it. But please recognize the world we're living in. We're living in a world where there's so much more opportunity. This internet thing created way more opportunity for all of us. Way more. I mean, look, you might not even be alive. Like, your mom and dad could have had sex like 3 minutes later and you wouldn't even exist and you're complaining. You could have ended up being a bus, a tree. I just don't get the mentality of being head down sad on a Monday morning. I'm gonna make Monday morning my bitch. I'm gonna make you Saturday Monday morning. That's what I wanna do every morning, and that's what I want from you. Please, take a step back and think about how awesome it actually is. And then recognize that you can attack the world in a totally different way because you were lucky enough to be born during this era.
Can't know how you're going to conduct a war before the war starts. You can have an idea, but you can't know fully. Just like if you were to say, hey, my goal is to X in my life, you don't know how you're going to be able to do that. Right?
Yeah, because you're talking about because you got to adjust.
Because you're going to make adaptations.
Yeah,
things are going to come up. Things are going to change. The battlefield changes. Your life changes. Things pop up. I mean, things happen. So I think that idea that you're going to know how you're going to execute something is far-fetched. I think actually, I should use the word idea. You should have an idea of how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You should have an idea like, okay, well, this is what I need to get done. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to achieve in my life. Yeah. I want to do this. Mm-hmm. What's a simple one? I want to own a house. That's a simple one. That's a good place to start. Yeah. I want to own a house. Okay, well, let's think about how we're going to get there. You know, let's think about how we're going to get there. You have to build your credit. How do you build your credit? You have to borrow money. Some people they go to buy a house, they've never borrowed money before. You can't borrow money if you've never borrowed money. You can't borrow money for a house if you've never borrowed money for a car or some smaller object before. So you got to establish your credit, then you got to have 2 years worth of income, then you got to have a big fat down payment sitting ready. So there's things you got to do. There's things that now that might change along the way. The idea is that you got to move towards that goal. Yeah. But that's what was so nice about hearing the Vietnamese commander's intent. Get close, split them up. Yeah. Boom, you go make that happen. Yeah. Hey, guess what? You want to buy a house one day? Save money, have good credit. Yeah. Okay, well, you got to make money. How are you going to make money? You might make it driving Uber. You might make it delivering pizza. You might make, because you got your real job that's supporting your family, but then you need a little extra to throw in there. Well, that's why you end up driving Uber. You end up with whatever it is you're going to do. You make some money on the side that you can start stashing away.
So you got to, in a way, you got to fill your life with a bunch of goals you don't get jammed. Because
if you have small goals that lead to the big goal, right? So for instance, you want to be financially secure and stable. What are you going to do? You're going to save some of your money. Okay, that's one thing. You're going to buy a house. That's another thing. You're going to pay off your car, and you're not going to buy expensive, dumb cars. You're going to buy cheap cars until you have the money to buy them with cash. You're going to make all these little things. You're going to work extra. You're going to do these things. So you're right. You have your broad goal. Yes. You have your long-term goal, yes, and then you got your short-term goals that lead and are strategically aligned with that long-term goal.
So many people come up to me and say, Gary, it's so hard. I look at their Instagram and they're not posting any of their content with hashtags, which is a by accident way to pick up exposure in a world where they have no money. When you have no money, when I took over my dad's business, it did $3 million a year, 10% gross profit, $300,000 before expenses. My first year marketing budget was $14,000. When you have no money, and I built that business from a $3 to a $60 million business in 5 years, I had to make every penny perfect. So I was right about email marketing in '96, and I was right, and because of that, I had 91% open rates. When Google AdWords came out, the day it came out, I paid 5 cents a click for words before anybody bid me up, and I was super right, and that worked.
How much is that luck versus preparation, and do you ever get anything wrong? What do you do when you make a mistake?
I get everything wrong. It's just that I can't recall it because once it's wrong, I'm moving on to the next thing. Like dwelling on what you f***ed up on is the quickest way for the next thing not to work. Right?
Yep.
So I think I do everything. I mean, you know this. This is a fun thing to say. Some people in the back know this. I was a breakout YouTube star in the first year, 2006. I decided that the right strategy was to leave YouTube completely and go to Vidler, because Vidler offered me equity in their company, and I've left an enormous amount of attention. I deviated from my intention thesis to do short-term economics and equity in a company, and I lost. When D-Rock finally came in my life 2 years ago and we started to try to build up my YouTube for the first time, I was sitting on 40,000 followers in a world where I could have had millions if I just stayed the course. So I make mistakes all the time. I'm reorging VaynerMedia every day because it's based on a mistake I made the prior year. I just don't give a fuck about my mistakes. Everybody else cares about your mistakes. If you're worried about your own mistakes, you've already lost.
When you're in the military, you have this discipline, and beyond the discipline that's imposed on you, you also have a lot that you have to just hold the line yourself. I mean, when you're in the military, sure, you go through boot camp where there's a drill instructor that's yelling and all that, but once you're in the military, you're doing what you have to do. It's self-discipline, that you learn that and you become self-disciplined. And what happens is guys get out and that's gone, and that hurts them. And the other thing that hurts them is they don't know what their mission is anymore. And my big thing with people that I've been telling vets now is find what your next mission is. Go find whatever your next mission is. And I don't care what it is, but it has to be something. When people are not going anywhere, when they're failing, when they don't have the drive, it's because they're not accepting responsibility for anything. And so my way of saying that is like, you need a new mission. You need to be responsible for something, and you need to go and move towards some new mission.
You know, it wasn't so long ago that, you know, I was a student and, you know, sitting in a seat in an auditorium like you guys are here today, listening to, I remember very specifically this time when Bill Gates came to talk at Harvard, and I was just like, wow, how do you do that? You know, the trick is that the media likes to sensationalize this as if you have some eureka moment or you are some singular person who can build something on your own, and that's just not how the world works. When I was in school, I built a lot of stuff that I just liked building. There was not a single moment when I had some revelation that Facebook was going to be awesome. That's not maybe how the media or movies or whatever would like to portray things. It's much less exciting. But the reality is, I think most services in the world that reach the scale that Facebook has, you start off building something that you care about, and you don't necessarily think it's going to be that big. I didn't. I built Facebook, the first version of Facebook, for my college community because I wanted to be able to connect with the people at my school. And I remember very clearly talking to my friends at the time and saying, how cool is it that we have built this community for our school? One day it's going to be awesome when somebody else builds this for the world, because something like this needs to exist for the world. But it didn't even occur to me that, my friends and I might be able to play a role in doing that, right? Because we were college students, right? I mean, we didn't have any, engineers to work with, or servers or resources or anything like that. And, there are these huge companies that deliver products for hundreds of millions of people, right? I always assumed that it was going to be like Microsoft or Google or someone would build this for the world. And what basically just happened is at each step along the way, we just kind of kept doing the next thing and growing from there. And there were teams inside these other companies that thought social media was important and were working on it. But there were all these different memes and narratives in the world. People would say, oh, well, this is just a fad. People are going to use it, but then they're going to stop. So, so a lot of the teams who were working on didn't take it that seriously, or, the higher ups in those companies didn't care, so they didn't get resources, and we just kept going and going. And then people would say, all right, fine. So maybe people are using it, but it's never going to make any money, right? I mean, social media doesn't make any money. And we just kind of kept going and going, and then pretty soon we had a service that was bigger than any of these other ones, and that kind of is how we are here where we are. There's no magic. A lot of times I think people just get afraid because often your dream is, it seems like it's so so far off. But if you just kind of focus on building stuff that you think is good and you keep on going at each step along the way and don't let people deter you from that, and you just really care about what you're doing and kind of don't give up at each step along the way, then I think that's how you build something good.
I was working once at an ice cream parlor when I was about 15 years old, my first real job. And on the second day, I was asked to scrape the gum off between the Mexican tiles on the floor. And I said to the woman who owned the store, it was called Magoo's Ice Cream Parlor, "You didn't hire me to scrape gum, you hired me to scoop ice cream." And this girl in the shoe store across the way that's looking at me, I don't want her to see me scraping the gum. And she said, "What are you talking about? I own this store. I'll do anything I want with you. Get down on your knees and scrape that gum." And I said, "I'm not doing it." She said, "You're fired." Last job I ever had. I owe that woman everything. I don't like to work for people. Many of you in here, I hope, inherit that. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you want to control your own destiny, you work for yourself. That's how it works. I'm trying to inspire those of you who are on the tipping point. Take the chance, you're young. Go for it. There's nothing better than being able to wake up in the morning 10 years or 20 years from now and do whatever you like. It's about freedom. That's what matters. I'm not saying being an employee is bad, but believe me, being an entrepreneur is better. I'm a little biased.
Always success and failure. You just have to know where to look for it. And that means that's a learning moment.
So you say every failure is success in learning if you know how to learn.
Exactly. You just have to look for it. Because then you use that again and you make sure you don't make that mistake again or don't allow that mistake to happen. So your goal is to then, just because it didn't work out the way you wanted to, take that knowledge, take those learnings and reapply it to a new direction. And therefore you're gonna get better. No one's, you've had failure, I've had failure, and it takes years of building up that kind of thick skin around you, but that's what it means to be resilient. You just get up and you keep going. And I can't tell you, there's been times when I just sat there and I was like, oh, the world's gonna be over. And then, you know what, you just look at it and you think about it and you have to project yourself, not today, but to project yourself into the future. What could I do in the future? If you keep looking ahead, everybody fails. You're not the only one, everybody does. Just get over it, keep going.
First thing I want you to know that success is not a destination, it's a journey. Think of success as a process. Let me illustrate it and explain it this way. If you go to college, you work hard, and in 4 or 5 years, depending on what kind of degree you're working on, and in today's society, sometimes 6 or 7 years, but eventually, comes the day of graduation, and you're all excited, and your family is there, and your friends are there, and you're there with your classmates, and you got your cap and your gown, and you know that there's going to be a time in that ceremony where you're going to walk across stage, and the president, provost, somebody's going to shake your hand, hand you a diploma, congratulate you, and you're going to get off the other side. They're going to have presents waiting for you, and they'll be taking pictures, and everybody will be shaking your hand, say, congratulations, today you become a success, you're a college graduate. Now, my friend, you did not become a success the day that you got your diploma. Now, what you did have happen to you in that ceremony is you got recognized for success. The diploma is recognition of what you have done the previous 4 or 5 years. You see, you were a success in your freshman year when you decided to not drop out of school like some of your other classmates and decided to stick to it. And you were a success every time you studied for a test. And you were a success every time you did a project or did a writing assignment. You see, you're a success all through school. You're a success every day. Success is a daily thing, not a destination thing. The day you got the diploma, you just got recognized for the success that you already were. Now that's very essential, because so many times people have a tendency to devalue the moment, today. What they do is they greatly value the destination. And so they kind of talk about, well, when I get there, or if I arrive there, or when I do that, or when I accomplish this. And they don't understand that success is a daily thing. And I'm here to share with you that the secret of success is determined by your daily agenda. In fact, I wrote a book a few years ago called Today Matters. I'm passionate about that book because what it does is it helps you, it helps me to understand that we make decisions and then we manage decisions. And too often we think, I will make a decision. For example, you're saying, I'm going to make a decision to be a coach. Or I'm going to make a decision, you know what, I'm going to make a decision to be a public speaker. I want to be a communicator. Well, congratulations, you've made a wonderful decision. Coach, speaking, good decisions. But that won't make you a successful coach. That won't make you a successful communicator. It's not the decision that makes you. You've got to make the decision by managing it, and you manage the decision on a daily basis. In other words, what you want to be tomorrow, you've got to do today. You visualize tomorrow. That gives you hope, and that's your motivation, and that's your dream. Nothing wrong with that. You visualize tomorrow, but you value today. What's that mean? That means that what I do every day is either getting me closer to that vision, that dream, that goal, or it's really driving me farther away from it. You see, every day we are either repairing or we're preparing. You see, if I messed up yesterday, guess what I get to do today? Fix yesterday. In other words, if I didn't do the right thing yesterday, what I got to do today is I've got to repair. I've got to go back, make amends, backtrack, put the car in reverse, put my life in reverse. I've got to go back there. I've got to repair. Now, every day I spend repairing, I'm not spending preparing. Well, you see, we repair when we fail to manage the decisions that we've made. We prepare when we, on a daily basis, manage the decisions that we've made. So your footprints to success are really footprints of success. Because every step that is made and taken based upon the goals that you have for your life, and you're managing those goals correctly, every step is the progressive realization of success in your life. And by the way, you'll get the diploma, you'll get the certificate, but when you get that, you didn't arrive. It just is another step in preparing you to reach your potential. Each one of us should live our life as if we'll never learn everything we need to learn. We'll never be able to accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish. We won't be able to experience everything we wanted to experience. We should live our life every day hungry, understanding that we are to live until we die. You see, I think success can't be summarized in a flippant degree or program or diploma or arrival. I think today, if you are learning to coach, if you are learning to speak, if you're doing the things that are essential to the decisions and you're managing those decisions well, can I say something to you? Congratulations, you are already a success. Now, guess what? Over time, it shows up. You've heard the expression. You maybe have even said it yourself. You've heard the expression, I'm sure. I've worked all my life to become an overnight success. That's the way it works. All of a sudden, somebody recognizes you. All of a sudden, somebody congratulates you. You didn't get good at that moment. You've been good for a long time. It just showed up.
Did I kind of anticipate what would happen over the last 22 years at Amazon? And the answer is God, no. So, Amazon started as a very small company. It was me and a few other people. I was driving all the packages to the post office myself in my 1987 Chevy Blazer. And when I raised money for Amazon, I had to raise $1 million, which I raised from 22 different investors, $50,000 each. They got 20% of the company for the $1 million. And it was 40 people told me no. So I had to take 60 meetings to get 20 yeses. The first question was always, what's the internet? And I had to walk through that. And this was 1994, early 95. And so did I anticipate, fast forward to today and the current version of it? No. It has been one foot in front of the other. And I think that is true for most businesses, where you kind of proceed adaptively. It's step by step. You figure it out. You have a success, and then you kind of double down on that success, and you figure out what else you can do, what customers want.
You stick in there. How did you keep yourself motivated?
Because I believe in my strategies, and I'm patient as shit. Like, all great stuff, especially when you're innovating, doesn't happen right away. This notion that like, oh Gary, I tried it, I spent $500 on Facebook ads, it doesn't work. Well, what if your video sucked? What if your product and service sucks? I tend to do things that are very early. That has been my career. When I do things, I believe in them. I stick with them based on intuition. Even though for 18 months nobody watched my wine videos at all, I knew it was right, I was right. There's been things I've done that I've jumped off of very quickly. I started a Gary V app, VChat, V-E-E, like WeChat, I thought it was funny, for my fans. Great CRM one-on-one. Didn't feel right after a week or two, spent plenty of money building it. Stopped it after, a couple months. Wine Library TV, 5 years, every day, YouTube. Decided to change it to Daily Grape, insular app. You could buy stuff, subscription for reviews. It was a lot of fun. Only did it for 5 months, stopped it because it didn't feel right anymore.
Okay.
It's always hard to know when to jump off something new, but I find that people don't believe in what they're doing. They hear a guru and they do it begrudgingly because their boss wants them to, or they're like, well, Gary's right a lot, so let me do it, but they don't believe it. And so then they're looking for no's instead of yeses. Everything I do, every business development, every event I do, every time I try a new marketing tactic or sales tactic, I'm looking for the yes.
Right.
I'm looking for the yes, and if the no punches me, well then I'm like, crap, the no punched me. I believe the majority of people when they try new tactics are looking for the no, and you're gonna getting a lot of subtle no's immediately.
Right.
And so I think that's why that happens.
And I know I've said before that knowledge is the most important thing, but the reality is if you don't have the strength or actually the health to back that up or even to function as a human being physically, then your knowledge and your mental strength doesn't really even matter. So that comes into play. And being big and strong is also totally useless if you're mentally weak and you quit. Now, being mentally strong should actually lead you to being physically strong, because if you are mentally strong, then you can work and train to become physically strong. But if you're mentally weak, then you will not hold the line on the good foods and the good workouts, and you won't get physically strong or healthy. So, can you be weak and strong at the same time? Yes, but I say be strong. Train your physical strength and exercise your mental strength by doing the right things, the hard things. The things you know you're supposed to do. Do them. And be as strong as you can mentally, physically, and emotionally for yourself, for your team, for your family. Hold the line and be strong.
What's a deal that you missed that one of your fellow sharks was able to secure that you look back on and say, wow, I didn't know that one was going to work out that well, but it's proven to be a big success?
And there is one, and I remember the moment. It was a deal called Sponge Daddy. It was a yellow sponge with a smile in its face. And I thought, what a piece of crap this is. The guy wanted $500,000 for like 50% of it. And Lori was beside me, you know, the queen of crap, as I like to say. She'd get the joke if she was here. And she started bidding on it, and I looked over at her and I said, are you out of your mind? This thing is a sponge. It's a sponge. She said, leave me alone. I said, no, Lori, I forbid you to do this. I can't watch you kill money like this. This is a shame. You're going to teach America how to waste cash. She said, shut up, I'm doing the deal. And she did. Sponge Daddy did 50 million in sales last year. It's a little piece of crap. I mean, that taught me, and I have a lot of respect for her now. That shows you the power of the Shark Tank platform. Simple product, simple message. There's actually a great corporate lesson to be learned in watching Shark Tank, and I urge anybody that's listening to this now to think about this for their own career. If you go back and look at 6 years of data, of all the deals that got funded, regardless to what the product was, and this does not detail the outcome of the company, just the ones that got a check from a shark. What are the common traits or threads? It turns out there's three. In 100% of the cases, the entrepreneur was able to articulate the idea in 90 seconds or less. Here's a sponge. Under cold water, it's hard, scrapes eggs off plates. Under warm water, you can polish silver. I get it, right? Very simple. Number two, it's usually a team are able to articulate why they're the right team to execute the business plan. They have a plan. They tell you what it is, and they tell you why they're the accredited, you know, managers for it. That's interesting. You find it in every case where there's success. And here's the one that really matters. In 100% of the cases, the entrepreneurs knew their numbers inside out. You would ask them about break-even analysis, margin analysis, market share growth, competition. In every answer, they had it. They nailed it. It turns out in corporate America today, and I teach this now, you know, I taught at Notre Dame and MIT, the graduating cohorts, I explain this to them. When you're leading, when you want to be a leader, you have to articulate your idea in 90 seconds or less. You have to explain why you're the right person to lead, and above all, you have to know your numbers. You can see it happen on Shark Tank. It works in the real world too. And frankly, Shark Tank is the real world because it's real capital. So I use that and I teach it, and I think everybody should think about that. Explaining your vision clearly, succinctly, in a short period of time ends up being really important.
If you have the greatest hammer and the greatest screwdriver and the greatest wrench, the greatest, in front of you, if you don't use them properly, you will lose.
Right.
If there's a nail that I have to put in that ground, but I take the wrench and I hit it when the hammer was right there, it still comes down to the practitioner. And you have to be good at your craft, and you have to love your, if you don't love sales, if you don't love it, you have no chance. Because it's so hard, it's so painful, there's so much rejection.
Right.
So those are the things I think about.
So technology is clearly an enabler, as you've just said there, though.
Yes.
The person is equally important.
And more important.
Right, and going
More
back
important.
to
I just apologize for jumping in, but let me make it perfectly straight. If I go play Roger Federer right now in tennis, and I have the greatest tennis racket ever made, like taken from the Mars's new resources, and he took a John McEnroe 1974 tennis racket, he would whip my ass. Like, I'm crushing salespeople that have every Salesforce, every one of your competitors, 37 features, upgraded, went to every pro conference, watching this. I will beat their ass in sales every day of the week.
Fortunately, one of the great benefits of technology is productivity. One of the big downsides, it's incredibly distracting. People check their Twitter account, or they'll answer a Facebook message, or they'll do something that has nothing to do with making money. And the reason you go to work in the morning is to make money. That's what you're there for. All the other wonderful things you can do with your time are based on your ability to create an income for yourself and your family. So why spend any time doing all that crap, which is distracting? And so that's the number one thing I find in my companies is when you see someone failing and you look at how they manage their time, you'll see right there what's going on. They're not focused on what matters.
that little yellow dot on the screen represent your level of awareness. This represents your level of awareness. This is what you're aware of. Now, everything you've got in your life, everything, your relationships, your money, everything, is an expression of your own level of awareness. See, people that earn $50,000 a year are not earning 50 because they want 50. People are earning 50 because they're not aware of how to earn 150. People that are suffering from headaches, they're not suffering from headaches because they want to suffer from headaches. They're suffering from headaches because they're not aware of how to eliminate the headache. It's their head. They made it ache. They can make it stop. So you see, it's awareness we're after. Now think of this. If that little dot represents our awareness and it's responsible for everything we've got in life, just think of how your life could change if we magnify it just a little bit. I mean, everything would start to change. Our relationships would change. We would be healthier. We would live in healthier bodies. We would know more people. We'd earn more money. We'd be able to do more interesting things. And if we just increased it a little bit more, everything starts to shift. Well, I've been living this way now for 40 years. It's absolutely fascinating. I celebrated my 70th birthday last week. I got more energy than most people, 20. I have absolutely no intentions of slowing down. People should say, you should slow down. That's a bunch of crap. We should speed up. We've got more power. Do you know the most erudite scientist alive can't even guess at what you and I are capable of doing? No one knows what we're capable of. All the power is omnipresent. That's within you, within me. Slow down, we're just starting to warm up. What we want to do is calm down. You can go at warp speed and stay very healthy if you stay relaxed. And that's really the secret. Now just imagine we expand our awareness a little more. Do you know what this program is doing for you today? It's expanding your awareness. That's what the program is all about. Every time you come to one of these programs, your awareness is widened. Your world starts to change. You think, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Our awareness keeps changing. Do you know that no one knows how much money you're capable of earning? No one can even guess at what you're capable of earning. We want to become aware. We're like we are because we're not aware of how to do it better. We know how to do it better. Every person in this room intellectually knows how to do a better job than they're doing. Everyone in the room knows how to earn more than they're earning, but they're not doing it. You see, having the knowledge is not the deal. Having the knowledge, I mean, what I remember when I was a kid, a school teacher would say to me, Bob, why'd you do that? I'd say, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. I was in the Navy. Every commanding officer, Proctor, why did you do that? I don't know, sir. What do you mean you don't know? You know better. I know. Why'd you do it? I don't know. You see, I didn't know why I was doing things. Do you know that we do things that we don't want to do? It gives us results we don't want to get, yet we do them anyway. Do you know what addiction is? It's never getting enough of what you don't want. Yet a lot of people are addicted to results that they don't want. Why do we keep doing it? You see, I think when we start to see that, that's when we start to become aware of how to take control over our life. And that's really what we want to do. So you see, awareness is the big deal. We want to become aware of the obvious opportunities that are available to us. We are surrounded by opportunity. They're everywhere you go. There is an abundance, there's no shortage of opportunity. We can win, and we can win in a big way. Now, when we lack awareness, we miss the opportunity. I used to always say that, you know, the trick is to be in the right place at the right time. I've been in the right place at the right time many times in my life, but I blew it. You know why? Wasn't aware that I was in the right place at the right time. I had to look back at it. Think of it. There's something else. It's being aware that you're in the right place at the right time is not good enough. You've got to be aware that you're in the right place at the right time.
You need to care about everything, and it starts with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I want to do every day for the rest of my life? Do that. I promise you can monetize that shit. If you love Alf, do an Alf blog. You collect Smurfs, Smurf it up. Whatever you need to do, do it. So many people are talking about, I can't monetize. There's a billion 70-year-old douchebags that are in control right now. But the number 2 person, that 34-year-old lady, she's gonna buy your shit. She's gonna put the advertising on your stuff. It's coming. Stop crying and just keep hustling.
People don't resist change. People resist being changed.
Yes.
We've got to change ourselves. We've got to build a new image, a picture in our mind. We've got to see ourselves the way we want to be, and then we have to live with it. You go to the gym, work out, that's what you do. You build a picture of how you want to see this arm, and you build that picture, and then you build the body. Well, you build the life in your mind. Take your pen and write out how you want to live. And always start by writing, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And the second you write it, you've got it intellectually. The moment you impress it upon your emotional mind, you've got it emotionally. And it's only a period of time till it manifests on the physical plane. Yeah. Spirit works from a higher to a lower potential.
In areas of choice, you need to work on your weaknesses. For example, let's say I'm lazy. That's an area of choice. I'm not naturally lazy, I'm just lazy. It's a choice. So I need to work on that because in areas of choices, you can make vast improvement and you can make fast improvement.
I've never heard this distinction, by the way.
Yeah.
Hugely helpful.
Oh yeah, in choices. So attitude, let's say I have a lousy attitude. One day I wake up and I say, this isn't getting me anywhere. I gotta have a good attitude. You can go from a 0 to a 10. I mean, almost over. You've seen people that you just say, my gosh, overnight they just got good and happy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's a choice. Vast, fast growth in choices. In giftedness, DNA, wiring, your growth is very, very small and it's very slow. So I think, for example, a person can maybe increase their giftedness skill set maybe 2 numbers.
Wow.
So if I'm a little bit above average, I'm a 6. If I really work hard, I can become an 8. But an 8 is powerful.
Yeah.
8 has a huge return. So what I tell people is in areas of giftedness, that's where you have to work on your strengths. If I'm a 2 in something, I'm very weak in a skill. If I worked hard, I could only become a 4. I'd still be below average. And so what I tell people is, you got to ask yourself, is it going to give me the return? So in the area of strengths, you got to pour yourself into the things that you're already good at, because that'll really set you apart from average.
Yeah.
But in areas of choices, go for those weaknesses, because you and I don't you know people that are highly skilled but they have a lousy attitude, or they're not self-disciplined, and they're never going to get anywhere, and they're not going to get anywhere because they didn't. So in areas of choices, work on your weaknesses, but in areas of strengths and skills, just work on your strengths.